Hey everybody, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever happens to be the case. It is Saturday morning, it is 7 a.m., and it is pixel art time. Getting the old tablet out. Pen. And we're looking at this guy. Yeah, and I don't like this at all, so I decided I'm going to start over. Delete all that. Delete all that. All right. Let's do it this way. So I had kind of an epiphany. What I'm going to do, it came to me in a dream, the way this thing needs to be drawn. And so I'm going to draw it that way. Oops. Hey, Slacks. Hey, Robert. I mean, that's a good question. Let me put this right in the center real quick. There we go. So this guy is going to be a patrol direction reverser. I'm calling it a patrol point. Excuse me. And it goes in the game like so. These guys. And when something gets near it, it changes direction. Ba-boom. He's got a patrol. When he gets around to the other side here, he'll go back the other way. So it kind of came to me. I think I was liking this. I originally started with this vertical shape. Then I did some weird stuff, and I don't know, I didn't like it. Then I went for a more flat shape. I still wanted something vertical coming out of it. I kind of wanted it to be like a fence. So it came to me last night how I can animate this and make it look like a fence and to do the things I wanted to do. So I'm just going to try and take what's in my head right now and put it right here. And I might go quiet for a little bit because it's hard for me to talk and draw at the same time. But if there's anybody here who has any questions about anything, game development, Godot development, drawing, whatever, I'm happy to try and talk about it while I'm doing this. So let's get into this. So I want to erase this interior section. Change this to this. Something like that. That doesn't look right. Nope. I think these are all destined to look a little funny. Let's do it by hand. Okay, I think that works. What do you do to keep your art style consistent? Do you have theme boards, A/B testing, going off the feel? I don't know. I don't really do any of those things. Trying to organize my thoughts here. You know what? I need to do this. For some reason, this symmetry isn't working. Oops. There we go. I mean, mostly it's just that this stuff is all just in my head. And I think I find that I can't help but draw like myself. As much as I would like to draw like other people, who I think I'm not a very strong artist. And as much as I would like to draw like other people, I just can't. My muscles don't make the shapes that other people's muscles make. And that's okay. I'm just never going to draw like certain people. But that's fine. I don't want to, I guess. I mean, some people have some talent. A lot of people have some talent that I would like to have, but I don't. So in that sense, I would like to draw like them. But I obviously wouldn't want to be an exact copy of them, so you kind of have to have your own style. I don't know, this is kind of throwing me this question because it's like, it's almost like, where does style come from? You kind of just develop a style over time, and then since it's coming all from me, it ends up being kind of consistent. I did have an idea in my head, though. Like, I mean, for one thing, I use this same exact palette for everything in the game. I don't deviate from, well, there's always exceptions, but for just about everything, I use these colors, okay? And in most cases, I don't even blend them. I don't change the opacity. I don't do anything. And if you look at some of the enemies, I was very careful to use exactly the same colors, like the clamshell turret here. Oh, not the turret. Let's look at the clamshell base. This guy. So if you look at his, right, he's this red, he's got this dark red, there's a little gray, there's this dark blue. The drone, right, same exact color palette, the missile launcher, right? So just by using the same colors, they all kind of stay in the same family. And then on top of that, my vision for these enemies was that they were kind of mechanical bugs. Mechanical bugs was my brief, which is why they kind of have these legs, but they're also kind of robotic looking. Right, kind of weird tentacly horn things coming off of it, but it's obviously some kind of machine. Flying machine, right? So that was another way I kind of kept things consistent. Other than that, it was just really just a lot of experimentation. There's, you know, you gotta. I put stuff back into the game all the time, right? Just so I can look at it, see how it's looking as I go. Change this to ice. And I think this is very important, this step of actually trying it out in the game. Because if it's not consistent, you'll see it, right? Whereas if you're just working on it over here in isolation, you won't know, right? You won't know until you get it into the game. So I try and get it into the game as quickly as I can. Thank you. I try not to be self-deprecating. I acknowledge that everything's relative, right? I know I can draw. I've been doing it a long time, and I'm not bad at it. But I also know there are many, 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 many professional artists and amateur artists, people everywhere, who are so much better at it than me. And that's why I said, I'm not the greatest. I'm not, the strongest artist. Also, I don't think this is self-deprecating. Art is not my strong suit, really. I'm better at other things. I'm much better at programming than I am at art. And I'm a very good programmer. I have no problem saying that. And that's not a brag. It's just a fact. I've been doing it a long time, and I'm good at it. If I wasn't good at it after all this time, there'd be something wrong. How did I mess these up so badly? There we go. Now, how am I gonna... Should I carry these over the top? Neat, 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 something like that. Maybe, maybe not. Who was that? Who was that? Turamadi. Tarembi? T? I'm going to say T. Thank you for the follow. Just a random name. Okay. Then I'm going to call you T. Thanks, T. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you around before. Are you here for the pixel art? Kind of don't like the way these look. Let's see. So this is the part where I know what I want. Yeah, that looks better. I know what I want. It's in my head. I have a clear vision in my mind, finally, of how I want to draw this thing. And so now it's just, this is actually easy. Yesterday when I was drawing this, it was really hard. It's always very hard at the beginning, struggling, right? You're coming up with this idea. You're trying to invent something from nothing. You don't have a clear idea in your head. You kind of just have these, yeah, I do. I had these vague notions of what I wanted to draw. We'll get into the Godot too in a minute. I just need to draw this a little bit, and we'll look at animation players and all that fun stuff. Nodes. It's nodes all the way down. But at the beginning, when you're just starting out with a blank kind of canvas, it's hard. You're experimenting. You're deleting a lot. It's really, really creatively exhausting, straining. It's hard work thinking. But now that I had this clear vision in my head, I'm not thinking really. I'm just kind of taking out what's in my head and putting it down. And it's much, much easier. So much easier. And then even once I get it further along where I'm like actually polishing the thing, then it becomes just way, way easier. All right, so I think that's going to be the base, at least for now. And then I want to put like a block here. And this thing is going to like animate, right? So first frame, second frame. Let's play this. Let me turn on the onion skin. If you didn't know, Sprite has this cool onion skinning feature. You turn it on here, and then see these little arrows around the 1 and the 2 there? That shows you which frames you're going to preview. So I'm going to... Oh, grab it. Come on. Grab it. There we go. So you can grab it, and now it's going to show me the frame after and the frame before of whatever I'm on. And I'm going to convert it and do this red-blue tint and current layer only. You get kind of a, current layer only. You have all these options, right? And if your sprite is opaque, you kind of get that problem where you can't actually see the red-blue, the previous frames, the next frame, right? So this is showing that's where the previous frame was. And if I drew something over here, like that, right? Now if I click here, you can see here's the next frame, here's the previous frame, but they're the same color. That's why I turn on this red-blue tint. So this blue one is the next frame, the red were the previous frames. And so without having to scrub, you know, you can kind of see how the animation is going without having to scrub. Very handy. And you can extend this out to be more than 3 frames. You can, you know, if you're doing a real complex animation, you might want to see 10 frames back. So now I can copy this guy here and then move him. And I kind of want it to fall, right? It's like falling slowly at first, and then it picks up speed. Copy it again. Oops, next frame, copy it again. Picks up speed. And then one more time right here at the bottom. Choom, 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 choom. I'm going to have it fall a little bit slower here at the top. Just adjust these timings a little bit. Choom, 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 choom. Because you want it to be like, wherever it's making impact, if you have an animation, wherever it's making impact, you want that impact to feel powerful. And if you have the animation kind of slow down at the end, like that, it just doesn't have the impact. So you want the last frame to be like big. So like there's this big jump here. Jum, jum, jum. I'm going to actually extend this backwards a little bit so I can see it better. So you can see all the different frames. Do, 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 boom. Do, 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 boom. Do, 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 boom. Starts real slow. Have it even start a little slower. And it speeds up quite a bit. Like that. And then after it hits, it'll stay for 1 frame. And then just go back up at kind of a constant speed, I think. And then stay at the top for one frame. Doom, 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 doom. Where did I get this? Why is that there? Because I did a copy, and I didn't copy the whole thing, didn't I? Let's delete that. Copy, paste, paste. That, like that, like that. So see how it really slows down there at the end? And there's no, it goes do, 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 do. It's very gradual that at the end there. And so you don't get an impact. It just kind of slides in. Doom, 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 right? Oh. Hey, Verbal Shadow. I've been great. Today's great. It's Saturday. It's Saturday morning at 7:30. I've been drawing. I have an idea of how I'm going to finish this art. I'm going to finish the art today on this thing. And I got nothing else to do. Well, nothing else I have to do today, but I'm going to build a table today. At least I'm going to get a start on it. But I can't start cutting wood pieces up until... where the heck did my palette and everything go? Where, how do I... What did I do? I don't know what I did. I feel like I screwed something up here. I'm missing some docs, and I don't know how to get them back. Ah, okay. I hit Control F instead of Control D. Thank you, Scooter. Yeah, I'm building a table for my sister-in-law. It's going to be an outdoor redwood bar table that seats 4. Got all the material, finally. About $250 worth of lumber. And, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a table. I'll show you the table. You guys interested in woodworking? Where do I have that thing? SketchUp, I think, is where I designed it. I think. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, so I designed it back in September, and it's taking me this long just to get all the wood together. Right, I'm building this baby today. Well, at least I'm cutting all the lengths. So I've got all the 4x4s, I've got the 2x4s, I've got these, I don't know, these are kind of weird shape. These are about 3/4 inch. And they're all 8-foot boards right now. I need to cut them all down. So that'll be the first step. I'm going to cut them all down to size. The frame, I'm going to cut the frame down to size. Just build this top part. And then sand it. Cut these overlaps. And yeah, sand it. Oh man, can I actually do this today? Yeah, I think I can. Sand it. I think I'm going to glue and screw it. And then once it's together, I'm going to oil it. So I need to oil all these slats individually as well. I don't know if I'll have time to cut all these today, but if I do, then I have to cut them all, sand them all, oil them all, and then screw them onto the frame. And then I haven't quite decided how tall these legs are going to be yet. I put 3'6" here, which is 42 inches, which is like 90 centimeters, something like that. But it might need to be a little taller. I don't know. I need to put a stool next to it, a bar stool next to it, and see how it feels. Anyway, yeah. That's another one of my hobbies. Oh man. Well, I can get that back later. Where did my mouse cursor go? Close you. Keep you. Back to you. Yeah, it's going to be a nice table, I think. All right. I've got the ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. Let's see how that looks in the game real quick, just to make sure it's reading accurately. Chunk. It's doing something funky there with the animation. Oh, I know why. It's because, so I had this animation player set up. Here's the guy. Here's the thing. By default, so what I've done is I've set it up as a continuous animation player, and I just have this as the first frame and the last frame, and it plays in constant time. So any timings that I have that make the animation look cool or whatever, I just draw them, right? I adjust the timing over here. But this always just plays those same 12 frames in constant time. So if I need something to appear to happen faster or slower, I remove frames or I add frames. It has to be 12 frames, otherwise I have to change this every time. So I keep it 12 frames, but if I needed this to happen quicker, like this first 5 frames to happen quicker, I would just move these so it happens in 3 frames instead and add some more frames at the end to pad it out. That way I can just keep drawing and drawing and drawing, and I flip back here and it just works. But so by default, this is discrete, which doesn't work for these animations because it just doesn't work. I don't know. I'm not sure what the deal is. So you set it continuous, and it kind of interpolates the frames in between these 2 points. But then when you get here, what it's trying to do is it's trying to go from this frame all the way back to this frame in this half a second here, or this 0.1 seconds. And you don't want it to do that. I want it to clamp there at the end, right? So this tells it, when you get to the end, just stick with that last frame. And so now I shouldn't get that weird glitch that was happening there at the end of the animation. Ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. What is happening here? Asteroid. Timer timeout. How could that be? Did I mess up my asteroid somehow? Hurt timer timeout. Death timer timeout. There's no timer timeout. What are you talking about? On timer timeout. Method not found. I don't know what's happening there. Timer. Timeout. There is no such thing. Time to turn it off and turn it on again. On timer timeout method not found. Hey guys, what kind of game? This is not Unity, no. This is Godot engine. Good morning, Leonard. Good morning, Verbal. Good morning, One Hit Gaming. Let me show you the trailer real quick. Ready? Here we go. All right, that's what we're dealing with. But I don't know where this error is coming from or why. Method not found on timer timeout, but they're error calling method from signal timeout. Method not found. But there shouldn't be a timer timeout method. This is asteroid GD, which is this. There are 2 timers in here, but they're calling death timer timeout, which is there, and hurt timer timeout, which is there. They're connected. Emit signal. I'm not doing any emits in here, am I? Oh, I am. Emit signal destroyed. But that's a signal. It's fine. On timer timeout. I don't understand where that's coming from. If I changed the font in the editor to match the game font, I don't think I could read it. Let me... Let me run the game again. I'm going to turn off asteroids real quick and see if the error... Oops. Turn off asteroids and see if the error goes away. Options. Speedrun. Asteroids off. There are none. Everything's good. Okay, so it's definitely something wrong with my asteroids. Sorry guys, we're off on a tangent here because I've got this weird bug. Now the asteroids are back on. They start spawning in. Start on a null instance. What do you mean? Can that... Is that... Hurt timer does start on a null instance. How can hurt timer be null? It's like this body entered signal is getting called before the asteroid is ready? How can that be? It's not alive. It's not alive. It's not alive. It's not alive. Do I have an alive? I do. I should probably not do this. I should do something like this. Death timer, hurt timer. Let's do that. If not alive, return. Let's see if that fixes it. There's some asteroids. Oh man, all these warnings. You know what's weird? Okay, so oh, wait. I think I have two different asteroids. Hold on. Do they use the same script? They do. All right. I know what's happening. So I made, first of all, I made two different scripts with the same name, I think. Or, yeah, both of these types of asteroids are using the same script. That's what it is. And what I did was I added a feature in here before that there was a problem where you could run into an asteroid and it would bounce off of you and destroy something that you needed. And it didn't feel good. It felt bad. So I put in some code to kind of capture player intent and ended up deciding I can't really know the player's intent. So I have this can hurt things flag, and the hurt timer runs for a little while when the thing spawns in. And then if you run into it after that, you know, you're out of luck. You've screwed up. You had time. Because this would happen accidentally. It would asteroid would spawn in, you'd hit it, you know, you didn't have time to avoid it, whatever. So now if you hit it too early, if that happens by accident, then you're not punished by it because it's just going to bounce off. It can't hurt things yet. And I changed the node tree, and I changed the signals, and I changed the script, but I didn't change the node tree for these asteroids like I should have. And I need to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy those, put them here. Can I do that? Copy, paste. No. Copy, paste. Okay. And then I think this just gets, this goes away. Because, yeah, here's the timer timeout right here. Right? But this timer doesn't, I don't need it anymore. It's now a death timer. I renamed it. And it goes here. Hurt timer goes here. Yeah. So these trees should look the same now. And now I think this error should go away. Because my ice asteroids are what was causing the problem, not the regular asteroids. That's why I didn't see the error before. There we go. All the warnings are gone. All right. Let's commit that because I don't want that mixed up with the other stuff that I'm doing. I'm trying out this new Git client. It's called Git Fiend. That's fine. And I don't know if I like it, but we'll see. I mean, whatever. We'll see. I want that. I want that. I don't want these yet. All right, I just want that. So this has the new nodes in it. Want that. And I commit it here. Okay. Like I said, I'm trying out this new Git client just to try it. I already don't like that this text is so small. Yeah, I don't like that. I do like this staging like this. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. Fixed ice asteroid signals. Make that private because it's not really, doesn't really affect the gameplay. It's not a new feature or anything. All right. Ooh, let me catch up on the chat real quick. I'd use VS Code to search your repo, not just the files Godot can edit. Yeah, I end up doing that a lot. Like I'll search for things and actually look into the tscene files to see what's connecting what. That might have helped me find this faster. Is code hard with Godot? What language does it use? Not harder than any. I agree. It's not really harder than any other language. It does use its own scripting language, GDScript, but you can use C# or other languages. Yeah, I know some guys who are using Rust. Rust, C++. There's probably some Python folks out there. I think I heard there's a Lua extension. You hate scripting because it's hard. I've been learning C# for Unit for 2 months now, and I literally know nothing. I mean, yeah, programming's hard. C# is a big language with lots and lots of libraries and stuff in it. It is, it can be daunting, yeah. 2 months, though, I would say is not very long. You know, it can take years to be really proficient with the language. GDScript is probably easier than C#, but I'd recommend doing some tutorials if programming is difficult. Yes, I agree. So yeah, I mean, Godot has some tutorials, and they have like an introduction to GDScript, but their introduction to GDScript is really for people who already know how to program, and so it's kind of like learning the concepts in GDScript that are different from other languages. That's the thing. Once you're really good with a language, any language, it doesn't even matter which one, then learning a new one is pretty dang easy, because the main two things that change are the syntax changes a little, the vocabulary changes a tiny bit, but not really a whole lot. In every language there's a for loop, in every language there's a while loop, in every language there's variables. You know, they're not that different from each other in terms of syntax and vocabulary. The other big thing that changes, though, is the library, the standard library that comes with it. And that's the hardest part. Because every language has its own standard library with its own way of doing things. And that probably takes the longest amount of time to learn. So if you're coming from C# and going to Java, for example, the library is just different. If you're going from, to PHP or C or GDScript even, the library is different. And then on top of that, if you're switching game engines, every game engine has its own framework that's different as well. Every game engine does things differently. So even if you're using two game engines that use the same language, you're going to have a hard time learning the new game engine, because the way that game engine does things is completely different than the way you would do it in the other language. And you can't just copy and paste code back and forth. It just won't work, even though it's the same language. So there's a lot of different learning curves you have to deal with. Tutorials, I don't know if tutorials are really a good way to learn programming. Although that's how I started. I started out by just typing in programs, and I didn't have any idea what they were doing. And then I moved on from there to like reading a book about basic programming. I started with BASIC. That's a language. And kind of learned the keywords, and then just gradually over time taught myself how to do it. By the time I was in high school, I was a okay programmer. And by the time I was in college, I was good. And I don't know, by the time I was 30, I was very, very good. But, I mean, that was just experience and lots of time spent doing it. It takes a while. But, so tutorials, I think maybe that was, if I could do it over again, I might learn it differently. And I know learning foundational stuff is boring because you want to just get into making your game, right? But there are some foundational things that are important to understand about programming that I don't think tutorials give you. Tutorials tell you, here, make this, type this in, and it'll loop over all your sprites. But if you don't really know why that loop works or how it works or why you would use a loop and not some other method, then you're not really learning programming. You're just learning how to type in a tutorial. You have to have a teacher explain to me. I mean, a mentor, a teacher, it's one of the reasons people go to college. I think the biggest thing you get out of college is the paper. You get the diploma, which is kind of a bummer, but that is one of the big things you get out of it. But the other thing is you have access to all these mentors. And if your professors are good, then you can learn a lot from them because they're experts at what they're teaching. If they're good, they're experts at what they're teaching. And that means they've already made every mistake you can make. Every mistake you can make, they've already done it. And so they can just tell you, don't do it this way. That's a mistake. And it just saves you a ton of time. I mean, and you don't have to go to college, but a mentor, a teacher of some kind is a huge shortcut if they're good. There are other alternatives too besides, typing in script. I don't know if Unity has a visual code editor, but Godot does. It has a visual script editor, I think. I haven't used it. And then Unreal has, Blueprints is their visual scripting thing. And there are tons of people who make games without scripting, who the visual editor just clicks with them better. I have a friend, Nick, who he didn't consider himself a coder. He was an artist. He is an artist. And he picked up a game engine called Construct, which is amazing, actually. It runs in your browser. And you can make some really great games with it. But the reason he picked this up is because he didn't think of it as programming. It uses, see this right there? It uses this event sheet. And it's kind of like a little spreadsheet. I wonder if we can see one. They're not showing one. JavaScript programming is optional, but normally it's something like this. You drag a button on here, and you say, if the button is clicked, then you connect it to something else. But it's all like drop-down menus, and see this? If monster is outside, then on the monster, set its angle towards player, the player's coordinates. So I consider this still programming, but it works better for some people who are more visual maybe, or who don't think about programming like a programmer does. So I know one guy who does it this way, who uses Construct, but he loves it. And I keep telling him he is a programmer now because he's doing stuff like this. And whether you're programming by typing things in or you're programming by putting things on a spreadsheet, it's programming. But this just works better with the way he thinks, I think. And he's made some amazing stuff with it. So, yeah, try out some other stuff maybe if C# isn't working for you. the thing about, like, I don't know, it depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to make a game as a hobby and you're just having fun, then, I would advise you just try a bunch of different stuff and see what works, find something that clicks with you. If you're trying to get a job as a Unity developer, then learn C#. I mean, there's no other choice. But if you're not, and you just want to learn game development to make a game, then try everything and see what works best for you, and then use that. Because otherwise you're not going to have any fun. What's the point? All right, so I've got my ka-chunk going. Let's add some effects here. So I want a little... Let's tag this first. So this guy, let me add another frame here real quick. Empty frame. So this I'm going to tag as default. Okay, this will be its idle. Let's call it idle. And then I'm going to have another animation here, and I'm going to make this maybe... Let's just go 6 frames, and we'll call this one activate. Okay, and I'm going to copy you here. Let's link those. When you link cells like this, and when I have this clicked, as I create a new frame, it links it automatically. So these are linked, which means no matter which one I change, it changes all of them. So this is my base that's going to be active, or it's going to be applied to every frame. But here what I want to do is take this, and I'm going to fill in this bit up here. Like this. And I'm going to color it white, right? So when this thing is active, it's going to do this. And the idea is, actually, let's go ahead and wire this up in the game. So it'll be playing the idle, but when something hits it, it'll activate for 6 frames, and the thing will change direction, and then it'll go back to idling again. So close you, close you, close you. Let's open up Patrol Point. And I have my animation player. And I think I want to do a... let's create the animation first. And then I'm going to create a animation state machine real quick, if I remember how. So we'll do a new one. We'll call it Activate. Let's just rename this one Idle, because that's what I called it in my sprite sheet. So now I have idle, I have activate. Activate is going to animate this thing's frame from 13 to 18, well, 12 to 17, because the index here starts from 0. So that'll be 12. 12. Oh, there's more frames now. 3. I have 18 frames now. Let's change the layout of the sprite to be 6 by 3. Export that. Change the layout to be 6 by 3, and then I can go to frame 12 to frame, let's go here, 17, and we'll have this be a ½ animation. Bing, bing, and then it'll go back to idle. Bing, bing. So I'm going to add more amazingness to this in a bit, but I just want to get the animation player set up. And then how do I do a state machine? I can't remember. I think my ice launcher has a state machine. It is a animation node. It's an animation tree. All right. Let's add an animation tree. And the animation tree needs to have something in it. It needs to have a root graph. Let's do animation state machine. And then how is this guy's state? He appears, start, reload. Okay, so one's tagged start, one's tagged end. All right. So I need a... Oh, I need to assign it an animation player. And then I need to add an animation. Let's add idle. And this one will be auto start. And then I need to add an animation for activate. Okay, and it will go between these. This will be a not auto advance. It'll switch immediately. Switch at end. Let's do that. And the advance condition will be activate. And I'll show you what that means in a minute. And then this guy needs to come back to here. Auto advance at end. So now if I'm here, check warnings if activation fails. Play mode travel, play mode immediate. All right. Can I get this to actually play? How do I do this? Start, end. How do I get it to play? I don't remember how this works. Do I play the animation? No. Oh, maybe I need to go back to root. How do I... Okay, active, right? There we go. So the idle is active. And then when I activate, it goes to there and then it goes back. Activate and then goes back. Activate and goes back. Let's make the activation take longer. So to do that, I think I want to make it be more frames. Let's go ahead and do 12 frames. And export. And change the animation, the sprite, to be 6x4. And this animation will go for 1 second, and it'll go out to frame 23 out here. All right, and then if I go into the animation tree and activate, right? So now I've got this state machine, and all I have to do is set this condition to activate it. All right, what am I getting here? What am I getting here? Fine, that's fine. There you go. So then I think, what did I do in here? State. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Uh-huh. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right, let's call this one state because it's a state machine. And I'm going to say state dot active is true. And so when it spawns in, it's going to be active. And then here I'll do a state dot set. What is the code? This. Parameters, conditions, active, true. Let's change that. Let's change it to is active. Just for consistency's sake with my other thing. Is active. And then how do I disable that? Ah, I see. I see. I need to turn it off too. So I can do that with like in here. I could say when this animation is done playing, I don't know if this is the right way to do this. If anim name equals activate, then do that. So when a patrol, when somebody comes in and touches this thing, it will activate. Let's have it activate no matter what. No, let's do that. So it'll activate, it'll call reverse direction on the thing that touched it, if it has that method, and then that'll play an animation. When that animation is done playing, then it'll turn off as active, so then it'll just go back to the idle state. Yeah, let's try it and see. It almost did it. Put you there. And then put another one of these here. How come you're not doing your thing, buddy? Is active. Seems to work. Conditions is active, right? Parameters conditions is active. True. Okay. Let's just check that and then check that. Right, it gets in there. It's setting the condition, it's just not traveling there. What if we change this to... Yeah, that's not what I want. What if I change this to immediate? Call deferred would set it to... Okay. I could put a call deferred right here. Okay, I know that's called. It's never playing that other one because it's never getting in here. It's never getting in here. I'm missing something about how you do these. State, travel, active. And this guy, see, he's doing at end for all of these, and those work fine. Does this have to be autoplay? I didn't think it did. Now they're turning on but not turning off. I'm not having it loop. These could be easier to understand. Is active. Maybe I do have to... Maybe I do have to do that call deferred. Does that work? Yeah. Let's try that. Animation player, remove. No. maybe changed. Or started even. Let's do that. Let's connect to that one. If anim name equals activate. Actually, it doesn't matter which one starts. Just anytime an animation starts, then set its active to false. That says it's true. That says to false. Let's try it. Turns it on all day. Does not turn it off. It's not even getting in there. Why isn't it even getting in there? Is there something weird about animation players where if they're involved with a state machine, then it doesn't, you don't get the signals? That doesn't seem right. Come on. So weird. It's just not even getting in there. The state is still immediate, yeah. Is active. It works perfectly in the editor. Now it's working. I don't even know what I changed to make it work. Oh, it's not working. That one's just on and off, on and off. It's stuck in its cycle. That one too. And it's not printing anything, so it's not getting into here. Alright, it's time to search for bugs. It is a bug. This issue has been confirmed several times. No need to confirm it further. Okay, that's fine. So in every engine you work with, this is annoying, I'm not going to lie, but in every engine you work with, you're going to find little bugs, and you're going to have to do little workarounds. And the workaround in this case is in activate, I'm going to call a method. I'm going to call a method on this guy, and the method is going to be, let's create the method first. the method is going to be deactivate. Deactivate. So in here, then I can insert and call deactivate. So as soon as this animation starts playing, it's going to deactivate itself. It'll keep playing the animation, and the tree will go back on this edge at the end of this animation. And then here I can disconnect these because they don't work, because there's a bug. And now things should work. Doing, 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 doing. Right? And I can, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I can even, let's put them a little further away so that we can see that happening a little better. Right? Alright. State machine, annoying. Bug, annoying. Workaround, fine. It's fine. And even after they fix this bug, here's another important thing if you're doing workarounds. I try to make my workarounds work even after the bug is fixed. So this workaround should continue working even after the bug is fixed because call tracks are still a thing. But later, after the bug is fixed, I could change how this is done, but I won't need to. And this is clear enough. It's fine. This actually might be better because it's more explicit. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. All right, so now I've got that all set up. I can ignore it forever now. Now all I need to do is draw. And I've got my 12 frames here. Let's change that down to that. So now I can do, let's do some fun special effects. We'll put them right here. What is this? Let's call this thing the plunger. These names don't mean anything. It's just helping me remember. And then the effects are going to go on this layer, and I'm going to do like I think something, let's do this. Let's do this first. So it's gonna, the whole thing's gonna flash for one frame. And it's going to do like a, let's turn this off. Kind of this lightning thing. And second frame, I'm gonna like turn those just into little sparks so they look like it's fading out a little bit. So I don't actually use opacity to fade things out generally. I kind of disintegrate them instead. And that's just another choice I made. Just another choice. And then here, I think I want to do something like, yeah, let's do something like So here when I'm doing lighting effects, I'll sometimes use glows, opacity, transparency, blah blah blah. But when I'm doing like sparks or other things like that, I tend to not use transparency. I tend to just gradually draw them out at full opacity by erasing portions, and I think that looks better. But it also, because I've made that decision, I use it everywhere, so I have to for consistency, I continue to do it that way. Otherwise, you get this mishmash of different styles. So here, though, I'm going to do something like, something like this. Actually, let's do this on a new layer too. Let's call this one light. And this one will be something like, do that. Do that. And then something like that. Like that. Yeah. So I'm actually, I was thinking I would use some opacity on this, but maybe not. I don't know, maybe? Yeah, I kind of don't like that. Let's see how that looks. Oh, I didn't export it. I saved the ASprite file, but I didn't export this. So export that, come back. What? Am I doing this wrong? Of course I am. Well, now that I'm in here using the state machine, I've got to do funky things here. Let's turn you off. And I think in the next version of Godot, they're going to have reset animations so that you can actually, things will get reset whenever you save, which will be handy. What frame is that? 16 to 23. Oh, I want 12 to 23. It was skipping the first few frames. And this needs to be continuous. There we go. All right, now I won't have to touch that ever again. See, it's taking shape, taking shape. All right, so one thing I've noticed is I don't think I like the rounded off shape. Most of the other, everything else in the game doesn't have these. Well, they do a little bit, I guess. I guess some of them do have a little bit, but most of them are more angular, more square. So I'm going to square this off. So in here, let's turn off the onion skin real quick. I'm just going to make this a straight line. Like so. And like so. Do I want it to be a 45? Yeah, why not? think I want it that severe. Let's go up a little bit. Like that. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. And then all of these need to just fill in here. And I'll do one and just copy it. That's this. I could probably link all these, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's okay. And let's do something fun here. Let's turn these all white. I should, well, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on whether I want to work all on one layer or on multiple layers. And usually I'll work on multiple layers, at least to start, until I have a better idea of what I want to combine. Because it is more convenient. It's easier to work on single layers a lot of the time. Let's make this really dark. So I'm going to turn this off. Do that. Do that. Copy all that. Put it here. Do that. These are just kind of gradually turning off. Copy all that, put it here. Turn you off. Turn you off. And then you are going to go off. And then on, and then off again, just for fun. See that? Cute. And then all of these on the outside here, I'm going to change to this darker color. And I think it's all on the base, yeah. Let's do that. Export. Hey, party people. Hey, Javi. How's it going, buddy? Do these things look like they have the spikes to you? Oh, they do, but they're the same color as the background. Yeah. See, this is why you got to put it in the game. If you don't put it in the game, you don't realize you're doing it wrong. Let's go with this color. bap, 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 bap. They're still not super visible because they're small. All right, back to the original. Maybe they should be that color. Maybe they should be red, actually, now that I think of it. Red means danger. Although these aren't really dangerous. So this seems like wasted time, but it's not. This is just my process. This is how art works. You gotta delete stuff. You gotta try things and then put it back. How else are you gonna know? I mean, part of the problem here is that they're so small. I think I need to make these things bigger. Another thing I've learned about video games is it doesn't pay to be subtle, usually. Hey, thank you, Eventless. Make them explode. Yeah, it's because they're rotated and it's because they're small. So I'm going to make them bigger first. First rule of game dev, make it bigger. Oops. That bigger, make that bigger. Copy all you to here, into here, into here, and then copy all you to here, flip you, put you right there. Where's that small one coming from? Ah, on the base. Okay. So let's copy you and you. Put you right here. Here we go. There we go. All right, let's see how that looks. This should be better. Yeah, it is better. They're like little cactus dudes. Let's give them ears. Let's give them ears. Because it's a video game, and why not give them ears? That looks 10 times more evil. All right. And 10 years. Yes, and 10 years. So then we have to have these in 10 years obviously light up. Because what would be the point if they didn't? What are we all doing this for if they don't light up? So now we'll see the ears kind of lose their... Yeah, they kind of lose their cool a little bit. Blink. Blink, blink, blink. Blink, blink, blink. All right. Let's make this really bigger. Let's do that. Oops. Let's do that. Mirror it. And then here, I want to put some, like, smears. This is like a thing in animation. Where you kind of fool the eye into thinking something's moving when it's not. I mean, that's what animation is, I guess. I don't like that. Okay. And then I can add some glows here. So the glows will be, this is where the opacity comes in. So, or like around all this lightning, right? I want some glow. So the way I do that usually is I'll get a bigger brush, right? Change its color to white. And then turn its opacity just way down. And then I'm in this glow layer, and what I can do is just hit these things that should be glowing like that. Let me turn off the mirroring because the sides are different, right? So this can be kind of messy, right? It's fine. And we want the ears to glow a little bit. See, and the glows are going to be a little different. And where I want it to glow a little bit more, I can just hit it again. So it's slightly more opaque. And it just adds a little interest, a little variety in here. So that it's like not all same, you know? And then the next frame, I'll have this stuff. Doing a little bit. Oh, I lost my second effect thingy. Probably when I did a copy and paste, I lost my second level sparky things. Let's fix that real quick. So these sparky things, let me turn back on this. Right, they're going to be like petering out, right? Did that draw anything? Let's move this up. Yeah. Oh, is it because? No, it's fine. Right, something like that. These are just like petering out at the end, right? They're like... Okay, and then my glows. Get back to the glow business. My glows can be out here on these guys too. And do a little bit here. A little bit here. A little bit here. And that's it. So then I can take all of these and I can blur them a little bit just to make them a little softer. Like that. Right? Export. Let's see how it looks. All right. I think this plunger needs some work. Let's do this, because we want this thing to look like it's really going fast in here in the center, and it's not right now. That's where it hits the bottom, right? Frame 5 and 6 is on the bottom. So between frame 3 and 4, I think frame 4 is the one I need to be more amazing. So I'm going to make frame 4, I'm going to stretch it. Oops. Opacity back up. So I'm going to stretch frame 4 like this. See that? Shunk, shunk. I'm going to stretch frame 3 a little bit as well. It's just reaching. Shunk, 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 shunk. Bouncing ball. Yep. Yep. Very similar concept, right? Smears and squash and stretch. And speaking of squash and stretch, I could do a little squash right here. So that way it looks like it goes in a little bit and then it comes back. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And then activate, activate, activate. Ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. This is reminding me of a thumper from Dune. We're calling it a sandworm. Chunk. Let's do one frame. Oh, I can't. Let's do one frame right here. Where is that? Yeah. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, I know. Let's do... Yeah, undo. Let's do this. This will be fun. And we're going from here to here. Here to here. Oh, yeah. Isn't that fun? So let's do this one to there. And this one to there. Is that fun? That might be too much. Let's try a different dithering pattern. Yeah, let's try a different dithering pattern. Let's try... this one. Oops. This one. Just a more regular pattern. And then here. it seems like it's too slow now. When I add that, it's too slow. So I'm going to remove it. But we can do something else. Let's do... Maybe this needs a connecting shaft. Oops, I'm in the wrong layer. Knew that was going to happen. I don't think I like that look anyway. Yeah, I don't think I like that look anyway. What if this whole top was filled in? I think we're going to lose something here by doing this. But let's just try it. And then I apologize again. I said earlier that when I draw, I can't talk or concentrate on anything else. And it's because I'm looking at this stuff and I'm trying to think. Especially when I'm designing something, it's very difficult. So I'm going to stop in a second and I'll look at the chat. And so if you guys have any questions about anything, let me know. I'm happy to take a break and talk about it. Godot or scripting or programming or anything. See, I don't like that. It's more like a curtain coming down now than a piston or something. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm going to undo it. Let's see what we got here. Activate idle. I'm not allowing the player to destroy these patrol points because it would screw up the patrols. Alright, that's fine. It's fine. Like centipede and 10 ears. Yeah, it looks like something burrowing. So this is what I was thinking. Thank you, thank you. Bouncing ball. Spring-like instead of rope. Yeah. Like a piston sparking all the way up, maybe? Oh, maybe. That would be cool. I'd love to hear the ways you implement various design patterns into gravities. All right, we can talk about that. I've got some design patterns I use. Before I forget, though, I want to take that sparking idea. Let's have it sparking here on the way down. We'll put that on the FX layer, and we'll go. Why is that color? Oh, because I selected that color. That's why. White. Undo. And you're going to be just slammed white. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. Design patterns. Let's see. So one thing I did not do, here's a design pattern I didn't do. I have a bunch of enemies, and maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. But I have a bunch of enemies, and they have some common things in them. One of the common things is they have some functions that help me use the level editor, like this editor transform function. And they have these functions like prepare for the editor and prepare for game. Let's see, prepare for gameplay, right? So this is when you're transitioning between the game and the editor. Some of these will do things, and some of them need to do something special. Like when you go into the level editor, some of them in prepare for editor, it will turn off its sound effects, and then prepare for gameplay, it turns them back on. And they're all kind of different, but they all have these same functions. So what I could have done, I think, is I could have created a class, a base class for all of my enemies, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't, there's probably a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons I didn't is that they're all different types of bodies. Some are static bodies, some are rigid bodies. I was already kind of into it when I thought, you know, I've got a couple of these now. Maybe I should make a default class. And then I said, well, but some of them are rigid bodies and some are static bodies, so how's that going to work? And I thought, well, I could put them all in a spatial and then put the rigid body, static body inside of that and do some shenanigans there. And then I decided not to do that because, I don't know, I'm going to end up with 10 enemies, maybe a dozen, maybe 20. It's not that many. And they're all different anyway. So the implementation of these methods would be different in each one anyway. So I don't think it's getting me anything. I don't think you can declare a function abstract in Godot, so it would force you to do the implementation. So there's not much benefit to doing it, I don't think. So what I did instead was, I do a lot of copy and pasting, which isn't a pattern, but I think it's fine. And I also do a thing where, so like this prepare for gameplay, right? Here's another pattern I use. Let me bring up the editor. Actually, let me just search for has method. I use this all the time. So in the game, for example, I'm trying to activate hidden enemies, right? This happens sometimes when enemies are hidden, you blow up the reactor, all the hidden enemies in the game get activated, right? They're hidden and now they're not because the reactor core is down and they need to do something about it. So there's a method in here that iterates through every enemy in the game. It actually iterates through every child in the game. And it just checks, does this child, whatever it is, does it have this method activate hidden? And if it does, it calls it. So it's an optional interface, right? Any method that I need to do something special, any object in the game that I need to do something special when an enemy is hidden and now it should be revealed, I just add this method to it. And if I doesn't need to do anything special, I don't add it. And they don't all have to inherit from the same class. There's no formal interface. I don't have to have them all descend from a inheritance hierarchy, like an object-oriented thing. I can just say, does it have this method or not? And if it does, call it. I do the same thing in whenever something gets hurt. So whenever something can damage something else, like an asteroid crashing into anything, right? The asteroid will check, does that thing have a hurt method? And if it does, hurt it. And in this case, hurt it with 100 points of damage. Hurt it really bad. Hurt it really, really bad. Right? But only if it has that hurt method. So things that can't take damage, I don't add a hurt method. Things that can take damage, I add a hurt method. That's it. And all of those things can be different types of things. They can be different classes. They can be different everything. But if they have a hurt method, I'm going to call it. I use that a lot. I find that very, very handy. I guess the only trouble with that is you have to kind of remember that there's a hurt method. And to do that, I just have to be disciplined. I name my variables the same, and I just know in this game, things that need to be hurt need to have a hurt method. And as long as I have that hurt method and it does something, then it'll just work with the rest of the game because the rest of the game is looking for a hurt method. What else do I do? I use signals a lot. So another pattern I use is instead of using physics process, I mean, I do use physics process just about everywhere. Not in this one. So this is a good example. So in this asteroid, there are things I could do. Well, maybe this isn't a good example because I don't know if asteroid has any signals. No, it does. So this doesn't have a physics process, which is a physics process is a method that gets called every single physics step, right? Or process gets called every single frame. So this is code. If your game like mine is running at 700 frames per second, if you put something in process, that's going to run 700 times every second. And most of the time, the code probably doesn't do anything. It only does something once in a while. And in physics process, same story. Usually it doesn't have to do something every frame. So if something needs to happen every frame, I put it in physics process. But if it doesn't, I'll use a signal. So here's an example in the asteroids. It's got a death timer, right? And I could have just said, look, put a timer variable here and in physics process, decrement it. And then when it gets to 0, then whatever, right? But then that's running in the physics process. But I don't know, it just seems inefficient to me because the code is running every physics frame and it doesn't need to. Instead, I set up a timer node and the timer node counts down and it'll count down every frame. And then it calls a method when the timer expires, right? So on paper, I guess it's the same exact thing. The difference is that by using the nodes, the engine is doing the counting in C++ instead of me doing the counting in physics process in GDScript. And for a trivial example like this, it probably doesn't matter. But I'm certain that the GDScript physics process version is slower. And so I just tend to avoid it. It's one of those things where it's not a problem now, but as you add more and more enemies to the game, it could become a problem. And then once it becomes a problem, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's a problem everywhere. So you'd have to go back and refactor every single thing this new way just to avoid that problem. And it wouldn't be obvious, like, where's the problem coming from? Because you could fix one guy and you'd still have the problem. And you could fix 2 guys and you'd still have the problem. But then you fix 5 of them maybe, and now the problem's gone. You're like, which one fixed it? I don't know. you kind of run into performance bugs like that are hard to nail down. So I just avoid that by just avoiding physics process, especially for things that only need to happen once, you know, once or twice, or maybe it only happens once a second. I just use timers. And these take up a little space in the node tree. Maybe there's more memory, but the engine is doing all the work. The engine in its C++ blazing fast, gigabillion frames per second, whatever, optimized, native code is doing all that math and counting and all that blazing fast. And then it just calls my code when it needs to, because the GD script code is definitely going to be slower. I use that pattern a lot. Those sparks give it so much life. Thank you. Duct typing is better in Godot. I like it. I do use... the biggest benefit for me of static typing isn't so much the correctness that you get or the compile step or any of that. It's the autocomplete you can get. Just be able to type in something, sprite dot, right, and get all the methods for sprite. And sometimes when you're doing things like iterating a loop, you can't... for child, let's look for that. For child, I use this a lot. Right, it doesn't know what child is. There's no autocomplete here. It doesn't know what child is. So, I don't know, you do something like for child as node. Would that work? No, that doesn't work. You could do var child node. Right, and then you get something. Define and scope. See, this is the problem. It's almost like it would be nicer in some ways. Is that not going to work? No, it's not going to work. So I guess you'd have to do something like this, child as node, and then you get it, right? Then you get your autocomplete. It's just kind of, I don't know. That's the reason I like static typing, is you know what each thing is. But I also hate static typing because you have to do this kind of stuff where you have to declare everything, and it's just kind of, I don't care. There's pros and cons to both, right? And some people like it some ways and some people like it other ways. I think it goes back to our earlier talk about how if you're doing this for a hobby, you should try out lots of different engines, because you don't know which one's going to mesh with the way you think and the way you program and the way you want to do things. So try them all. And it's the same thing with programming languages. Some people love static typing, some people hate it. Okay, pick one that does it the way you like. There's lots of choices. I don't think necessarily one is definitely better with the other than another. Hey, Clint. Yeah, that would be another way to do it, right? You could do just a reassignment, child as node. And do these lines then turn green? Yeah, this one turned green, right? Now it turned gray again. Not sure what that means. Definitely works. I don't know why it's not green. Yeah, lots of different arguments about static versus dynamic. And the fact that nobody knows the answer, there's not a true definitive answer that works for everybody, is because everybody's different. And there's pros and cons for both. And sometimes one's better than the other, and sometimes they're not. And that's all okay. Just use what you want to use and do what you need to use at the time. They're both fine. I don't know. I thought you could. I thought you could do for child. Maybe you can do node. But that doesn't work. And you can't do as node. See, that doesn't work either. Can you do that? No. GDScript's not perfect. But, I mean, look at it, too. This code, I didn't need it. Because I know everything descends from node. I know it has a queue free. Everything does. So it's fine. I don't care that these lines are gray and I don't have autocomplete here. There are other times where I do care. There are other times that I do care. Like this, I think I would like to know that it's a string. Right? Because I'm going to do string manipulation on it. But I don't. I have ranks, and it's full of strings, but ranks, you can't have typed arrays in GDScript. So it doesn't know what rank is. It would be convenient, you know, to be able to do this, because what I had to do instead was I had to look up the help for a string and then see what the actual method is. You know, I had to look it up this way instead of just being able to do dot and finding it. So it would have been a little bit faster if this was a typed array, but it's not enough for me to care, really. I don't know. But then I've talked to my friend Peter. He was like, "Hey John, how do you do a typed array in Godot?" And I said, "You don't. You just remember what you're dealing with and try to only put one type into an array at a time, or write your code in a way that it can deal with all the different things that you're stuffing in there. Be defensive in your coding, right? Maybe that's another pattern. My level editor does that all over the place. Let's see, select. Let's look at that one. Right? An array of objects. But it does all this defensive stuff. If the array is empty, just exit. If it's 1 and that first object, well, it does all this stuff, right? And if it short circuits out, right? If it's not what I'm expecting, get out of here. So there's some level of safety, some level of defensiveness that is in here that you have to write if you can't enforce it at the language level. And some people think that's gross. Some people don't care. I think it's probably grosser. I think things like array, int, I think that's grosser, you know? I think that's way worse. But it's just a preference. It's not a rule. Typed arrays coming. Yeah, I mean, I could see that being useful. I put lots of different things in arrays sometimes. Well, like this array, actually. This array of objects, each object could be a rigid body, could be a static body, could be a kinematic body, could be an area, it could be a button, it could be a polygon 2D. I just don't care what's in the array. I'm going to put some stuff in it. And then I just do a bunch of checks to make sure that I only do the right thing on the right type of thing. And if you did that with typed arrays, I think you could do it with typed arrays. But you might need to make a new type, or you might need to do some other stuff. And it's just a different way of doing it. It's fine. Pool string array. Those pool objects, I'm not even sure what they are. What are these things? I've seen them. Oh, it's a pool. Okay. Optimized for memory usage. So pool arrays are optimized to not free up and use memory. Doesn't fragment memory, whereas a regular array might. So I'm guessing with pool arrays, there's a little bit of CPU overhead, but less memory overhead, something like that. Because you're not creating and freeing things constantly. Yeah, I guess. It's fine. Use those if you want to. In my game, performance isn't really an issue because it runs at 640 by 360. It's like a postage stamp. And then I just blow it up. I just scale the viewport, which is super fast. That happens in the GPU. And so the game runs at like 900 frames per second. And any optimizations I do might give me, instead of running at 900 frames per second, it runs at 950 or 1,000. But if it's over 120, who cares? Nobody's going to notice it. Nobody will notice the optimizations if I make it faster. Or even if I don't optimize and it goes from 900 down to 700, nobody's going to notice. So a lot of this stuff is unoptimized because I don't need to. Maybe that's another pattern, is that I made the game very small so that I don't have to do a bunch of optimization work. All right, let's see. Let's get back to drawing a little bit. Yeah, I dig those sparks. Let's see how they look in the game. Oh, they're not in the game. Why aren't they in the game? Because I didn't export the style, the sprite sheet, perhaps. There we go. And let's add a little bit of lighting effect to that blue wall as well. That blue wall glow. I'm going to put it right here. And we're going to do another box. Right? Oops, something like this. Let's turn this on. Something like this. And we're going to blur it. And maybe even change its blend mode to add. Turn down the opacity. Oh yeah. Yeah. See, that looks cool. Okay. And then do the same thing here. Oops, wrong layer. Important to be on the right layer. See, it looks much more electric now, right? To me, it does. Let's try and look at it actual size in the game. A sprite like scales everything up by 2x. So that'll be actual size, I think. But it also filters it when I scaled it down, so it's not like pixel perfect anymore. That's not. It's fine. It's better to look at things kind of blurry and squinty anyway when you're drawing. I wonder if that would look better if it was red on the initial frame. So this right here Let's export that. Let's look at it in the game and see. Suppose I could change this to be red as well. The glow. Oh, that's too much. Yeah, I kind of like that. What if I just changed the glow to red? Ah. Yeah, let's export that. Try that. Happens real fast. Again, maybe I need to be less subtle. Yeah, I like that better. And if we put another guy here, let's see how they do. Did he not get around there? Oh, he did. Okay. Pink. All right, let's do this. Let's change the collision area on this thing. Collision shape. Let's make it a little smaller. Move it up a little bit. There we go. Let's change it to a rectangle. Be right there. There. Okay. All right. So as you're flying up here, you can see them. You can be flying up. I'm coming in from somewhere, and I'm like, ooh. Oh, there's some land. Oh, look. There's a patrol point. I know there's a patrol up ahead. And then there they are. Oh, there's the patrol. Good thing I had a little bit of warning. I think I'm still not quite convinced by the piston. I think it might be the color of it. I don't know. So at this stage, I put it into review. Let's do a commit, though. Let's do a commit. What is this? How do I undo this? I want to discard those changes. I don't care about those. So my patrol point. What is this? Discard. Yeah. What is this? Discard. Patrol point. Okay. Basic patrol points added to game, added to direct enemy patrols. What branch am I in? Mobile turret branch. Okay, that's fine. Commit. Push. And in my Trello here, I'm going to break out patrol point. did that. Okay. Let's copy that. And that. Delete you. Delete you. Let's create patrol point. And add a label. This is a new asset. It's a... It needs that. It needs that. And I'm just going to move it over here to review because I did the art. I did the art and animation. Done. But I'm going to let it sit here because I need to think about it some more. So I'll probably play with the game. I'm going to, play the game, make some levels with the patrol points in it, see how they look, see how they feel, and then after a week or so, Future John will review. Hey, Max. Future John will review patrol points, and at some point I'm going to look at it. This will happen 3 or 4 days from now, maybe a week from now, maybe 2 weeks from now. I'm going to look at those patrol points and go, oh, shit, those are ugly as hell. I need to change some things. So I'll change them. And that second time I change it, I don't put it back in review. It's done. I move it to done. But I always do a first pass and then a second pass. And then meanwhile, I just work on other things to try to clear up my mind. It's hard to, like I say you, but me, it's hard for me to look at something and I can get too close to it. And it's hard for me to tell if it's any good or not. And I just need to stop looking at it for a while. And that's what the review phase is. All right, guys. It is now 9:30. I can hear in the other room my wife is awake. I'm going to go get some coffee and sit on the couch and talk with my beautiful and lovely and talented wife for a little bit. And then I'm going to go make a table. Yeah, I'm going to go make a table. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. It was fun again. I streamed 3 times this week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I'm not going to stream tomorrow or Monday. I'm going to try and do that schedule again next week. So check back in with me again on Tuesday, and we'll do some other fun stuff, some coding stuff. More coding next time, less art next time. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. If you don't know the game, go to gravityace.com. Click on all the things. Come join the Discord. I'm happy to share everything I know with anybody who asks. So if you want to know anything, you can send me an email, but I'm probably not going to answer your email. I hate email. Best way to get a hold of me is on Twitter or on Discord. And for sharing code or talking about game design or stuff, Discord's probably the place to go. All right. Yeah. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. Catch you later.